to get artists down who would represent the Stay Strange ethos, and really just kind of trying to make that happen.
What is the Stay Strange ethos?
Sometimes, though, it would be kind of like taking somebody out of their comfort zone and kind of forcing them into doing something unusual.
I think so. Like with, I don't know, I guess I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, who really, all the isolation of making art by myself kind of led to me getting weirder and weirder with time. So having you as a promoter kind of push us into the public eye was really helpful, even if it hurt doing it.
I think, musically for me, it goes in extremes, like as far as music, like, you start off with kind of like rock, and then you get into heavy metal, and then you get into, like speed or thrash or something like that. And then you get into grindcore, power violence, and then you start getting into noise. And then once you hit that plateau, it's like, where do you go? And I think the natural thing is to kind of like start over again and start from zero.
Yeah.
And I think that what I do now, I think, is sort of like the natural progression, because once you have the big chaos and the big explosion, you pretty much have silence. And so I think finally this project came out of that chaos, and it's pretty refreshing, I think, to be able to to be able to play music that is really like folk music, in a way, folk, I guess. Because a lot of it really is inspired by, maybe indigenous music. Really, I think at this point is like the indigenous aspect of the music is invigorating for me, because then I get this, I speak of the earth. It's more organic, and I get to go back to like the base, the roots. Two cavemen, in a cave, hitting rocks together, making, music.
Yeah.
And so
that's really cool, man.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I mean, it has to have, for me, some sort of sense, not sense, but some sort of, it has to have a thread of, darkness, maybe, which is why, like, you and I work so well together, because, we speak the same language when it comes to a lot of things, but on the artistic level, we both can find qualities in a human skull.
I like what you're saying, man. That you're saying that you're returning back to the beginning. That I think that kind of speaks to how I hear the music. It feels like it's very primitive, and it makes me think of like, a caveman in a cave painting something on the wall, and maybe some like ritualistic, something ritualistic and mystical about it. And that's kind of what really called me to the music and the sound. And that you're saying that you went from a really extreme side of music, metal noise, and going to this kind of almost world music, folk music. I think it's almost, I don't know if it seems universal. As you're young, you're really into extreme stuff, but as you get older, you kind of chill out a little bit, and you kind of have to revisit your past and kind of analyze and rebuild from that, and see what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be for a while that people who are looking for noise artists or experimental music, avant-garde, whatever that means, we're looking for places to play a show. And the real inspiration for the Stay Strange really was previous to having it's a safe space for artists to perform without being harassed, because before we had this, we'd have some very intimidating shows where people in the audience didn't understand it, so they were vehemently against the music, and they would come up and really kind of get in your face about stuff. And so, Stay Strange was really about having a spot where things are going to get unusual. So right off the bat, if it's a Stay Strange show, it's going to be, there's going to be something pretty strange about it.
Yeah, I mean, the shows you put together were just so unique and so out there, and whatever they were trying to do. Like, it wasn't just a show about music. It was like you had a bunch of different stuff going on. You had on the same night you could have stand up or something, and something more kind of like an open mic thing. Then you have an artist doing thing, and then you have someone else doing noise type stuff. And sometimes you have even a bunch of different artists in the same room doing different things at the same time, or even like experimental artists doing like a hands-on thing. So like everything you did was just so varied and different, but always kind of in the avant-garde, very artsy fartsy. If I want to say, I don't know if that bugs you or not. Artsy fartsy, very highbrow is the wrong word, but very just really out there, really unique, and stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge too, is to be able to provide a program that's going to be interesting, because we've been to shows where there were the four or five of the same of the four or five bands, and they all sounded exactly the same, and you get real burnout. I think unless you really like that kind of style of music. So I thought it was important to be able to have a mixture of genres, and not like you said, having artists or people who did like improvisational emceeing, or having a movie, or something that I took inspiration, I think, from like the 70s, with the no wave scene, where it was a movie and a no wave artist, and then somebody chewing on glass or something like that. So
it is like a happening that you put on.
Well, how do you? These curse tablets were, they were obviously a real thing. Once something has been implemented to your demise, I think it's important to be able to find the strength to overcome that, and so maybe the curse tablet could be not just, a hex, but, also like, how do I overcome insecurity, which can also be as disabling as, a curse.
Yeah.
So, but in a way, I think it's also has, in the song itself, there's some color in it, and hopefully the color shows some of the positive aspects of a negative thing.
I think that's with another common ground we have is, like, for me, the last few years have been a lot about analyzing what I've been doing this whole time with my art, and seeing how I can bring something positive from what my sensibilities. Because both of us, we both have a really strong fascination with morbid subjects and death and that kind of thing. I don't necessarily want to give that up. I think that's still pretty important to an artist's visual language to talk about that kind of thing. That is a very big subject. Talk about life and death. That's like an internal conversation we're going to have with artists in the future, artists in the past. It's kind of just like the ongoing topic. It's like, you can't really escape it. You can't really escape it. before COVID, we both had a bunch of stuff going on. I was doing tours around town. For a year before that, I was doing the tour. This my Necro Comic Con tour, going to different bars and kind of crashing different events and selling my stuff out of a guitar case. That was a lot of fun. I think that got me like the biggest notice that I've.
I like that,
had.
man, because you could basically set up anywhere.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, you have to be a part of this because literally you could just we could be in any situation.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah.
It was like being a nomad artist and make a few
What I
bucks.
noticed though was that you originally were sort of like on the fringes of the scene. Like when I first when I first saw you, really it was in front of somewhere I think, and you had your guitar case out and you were outside, and I was like, that's cool, but you need to be inside. You need to be where the people are. So you know.
And now we've known each other for a few years now, and kind of the pandemic kind of pushed us to kind of connect with each other and seeing what we were doing separated. We talked a lot about trying to do something positive, something to kind of help the state of the world. I don't know if I've told you. I guess what my purpose is with my art is to kind of like now with what's been going on, especially in the last 5 years, trying to shift what I was doing from kind of a really, I mean, I guess what other word is there, but like childish almost, more kind of based off what I wanted to do, and more. I don't know how to say this. I feel like my art now has a purpose, has like a focus that it didn't have before. Because I really believe in the power of art and how it heals people, and how creativity is not a band-aid, but it just helps as a coping mechanism, as a coping skill to get through these tough times. We've seen it in history, like people go through some horrible things and make art out of it, and that even though maybe it doesn't erase the pain, but it at least helps put that on paper and get it out of your system, but also bring a community to you to, I guess, help you commiserate with it. I don't know. But yeah, I believe that, and I want my art to do the same thing. Well, last time we ran out of time, and we kind of kept forgetting to show off the art that I did for this video. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do it now.
That's a good idea. Yeah. We got some really cool things to accompany the video based off of the idea that the natives or indigenous people.
And it was part of the sound that kind of inspired me to do that. First, I was looking at archive.org for inspiration to make some videos just to play around with. Finding these videos about these guys exploring New Guinea and Ecuador and Brazil for the first time and meeting natives for the first time. It kind of had this underlying story of people exploiting each other and people being taken care of, being taken advantage of. And it just felt natural for the sound to be combined with that footage. And I'll show it in chronological order of how I made these things. I think this was the very first one.
Look at those strong men, right?
Yeah, they're
like those are warriors.
Those are warriors, man.
I love those guys. Strength,
this one.
right? Now, let me ask you something. Do you think are the babies in the bellies? Is that theirs? Is that the guys?
I don't know.
What's the story? What's the idea there? Is that?
It was something about like life in the making, like the family it takes to raise the kid and bringing the kid into a new world. And
Can we see that again? A little bit closer. Why you explain?
It's something about bringing a new kid into this world and the power of that, and having like this, I guess, responsibility to do something good with that. And these are, I guess, these are shamans doing this run with these girls. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it felt right to make them pregnant. And this next one, this is the next one. This one was just as they were in the photo I
Look at
got.
that, man. That's like, wow. Look at that. There's so much detail on that. I mean, you can sense the, you can feel
Trying to get okay.
those people.
There's like destruction.
Oh yeah, you got skulls down there too.
Yeah. It's hard to see, but there's a bunch of ruin and debris in that detail of that.
What's going on here?
In this one, I kind of see it as like these guys watching over a dead world.
Uh-huh.
And like them bringing new life into it. This next one, this was just taken from the scene that you see, I guess you don't see in the video. It's just a clip of it, where we have a little boy smoking. And to me, it was just such a powerful little image of having just seen a little boy smoke. It's shocking, it's really unusual, and it's hard to really explain because like we see it with our modern eyes and see like this kid being abused. And we talked about it last time. Back then, it was like the science between the cancer links and cigarettes wasn't there, or it was like purposefully obfuscated. It was hidden away by the companies. And for a long time, tobacco was thought to be a healing medicine. So I don't know what the idea was behind giving the kids cigarettes. If that was just like if it was cruel
funny
or not.
joke, ho, look at this.
Yeah, if it was funny or just like it was actual cruelty. I don't know, but it looks bad. But it's makes for an interesting image, doesn't it?
You have another one in there.
What? Oh yeah, I do. This one.
I like looking at him. The nose is so funny. It's like it's that bulbous nose.
It is, yeah. I'm glad
I wanted to point something out though.
What's up?
To you. So you see his like little beard.
Yeah.
At the bottom, and it kind of goes up. I did that on purpose because what happens is if it was hanging low, it would get in my strings.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because if you haven't seen Sam live, he plays with this mask on while he performs, and it's just shows you put on. Like you did the Lowerlands tour all across, like you did in different spots in the U.S. You even visited. You even visited my hometown of El Paso, and stopped
Listen,
by.
I gotta tell you that El Paso was my favorite city on the whole tour.
Really?
Yeah, my favorite one. We played at a club, and the black metal guys came out, and I thought they were they're very cordial, and we're happy about what we were doing.
Do you remember the band's name?
No, but Esteban does. I told him about it. He's like, "Oh, those guys, they're." I'll tell you, I forgot the name of that band, but they're really, it was cool seeing that. El Paso, man, that was a great town.
I miss El Paso. Man, they're going through some shit, but I miss that town.
You got that cool pentagram. Well, it's not a pentagram, but that star on the mountain.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, you got the star in there. I remember when I was a kid, there was a big uproar about Juarez, the sister city of El Paso in Mexico. You can see right over it, like the same way in San Diego we see TJ across the border, across the hills or whatever. It's the same way with Juarez. People were up in arms about Mexico, Juarez, putting up a giant flag next to the border. It was a huge flag. It was a giant fucking flag. And people were so upset about it because we could see the Mexican flag across the border, and people were so upset about it. Ridiculous.
We purposely went into the desert. We wanted to do that, right? Because the normal thing would be to go from here up to Seattle and then back, right? That's like the normal channel, but we wanted to do something way different. We wanted to be out in the earth, and we wanted to be out in the clay.
Yeah, I like. It was cool seeing you in that video and seeing kind of seeing the dust that I miss. Man, it's funny because when I was living there, I say El Paso's my hometown, but my actual hometown is somewhere else in New Mexico. But they were really close by. It's almost like the difference between living in San Diego and living in El Cajon, like the same thing. living there, when I was living there as a kid, I did not like it because it was just living in the desert was, it was hot, it was dry, there was nothing else to do, nothing much to do out there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to live in trees so bad, so I moved to Seattle at some point. But now that I've been out here on the West Coast for a long time now, like over 10 years, I miss it. I miss the desert. I miss just being there. Like, and the biggest thing I miss is having a giant open sky, because you don't see that here, man.
Yeah, you don't see that here.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, there's a big, huge sky over there. So let me ask you something then. Going back to that, when you first started illustrating, right? I mean, right off the bat, you probably were like, just really good. What made you want to start drawing, and like what kind of stuff were you drawing as a young person?
As a young person, I was drawing a lot of. I remember drawing. Okay, for a while, I was getting in trouble for drawing my teachers and classmates getting destroyed. I got in trouble for that. I was drawing a lot of between drawing a bunch of like weeb anime manga stuff, which I loved. And we were talking about before the camera started rolling. About Dragon Ball. I have a weird nostalgic battle with Dragon Ball that I grew up with it, loved it as a kid, but as an adult I don't think it's very good. But that it's still a part of my childhood, which I really like. But it's a weird thing. I was really into that drawing. I had like a Dragon Ball style, I think, for a long time. And before that, I was really into Sunday papers stuff like The Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts and that kind of thing. So like before my weeb state, I was like drawing like Gary Larson from The Far Side, not cartoons and stuff. After that, I got into heavy metal, and Vince Locke, who did the covers for Cannibal Corpse, he was a big influence. And you know what? Funny thing, also, another funny connection that we talked about before the camera started going was the connection between, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and Vince Locke has a lot of art in D&D world stuff. Like, he's actually a pretty prolific artist. I had no idea. But
really?
Vince Locke, I don't know if have you seen those covers? You've seen those covers.
Yeah, like Tomb of the Mutilated.
Famous,
and,
famous.
Hammer Smashed Face, right? That
guy,
yeah.
He kind of inspired me to move on to color. I started watercolors because of him. He was a big influence, big influence in my color work.
Yeah. So he does stuff other than like those grotesque.
Yeah. He was doing a comic called he was doing a comic called Zombie World. When that's how the Cannibal Corpse guys got to know him.
That was the first like ever kind of like, well, not ever. I mean, but like way before The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah. That was maybe 80s. It was like in the the black and white explosion in the 80s.
Yeah. Zombie World.
Super gory, very grim, very cool. His artwork I love his artwork so much. Then I think I moved on to just drawing really weird dark stuff that was inspired by like the Sandman, Neil Gaiman. I got into a lot of music. I was doing a lot of kind of drawings based off the songs I was listening to. Then I moved into like commissions, and that kind of exploded into just drawing whatever the fuck I want. It was pretty good. I had to just. We talked about my sketchbooks. I have like 2 boxes right now underneath my desk right now, just full of sketches. I'm gonna bust one out random and see what happens.
Yeah, could you?
Okay, this is the cover. This is from when I was living in Seattle.
Oh wow, who was that guy on the lower?
That's Patton Oswalt, man. He's a.
Oh yeah, I thought for a second it was George Lopez.
He kind of looks like him.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
What else I got?
Autopsy.
Yeah, that's what's his name? Oh my god, he has a really good photographer. If someone knows this photographer's name.
It's not Joel Peter Whitkin, is it?
Might be it. I think that might be it. Yes. So, looking at this, this is a comic I was doing. It was a journal comic I was doing at the time. This one I didn't finish, apparently. This is me in class. I'm not going to show you what it says. It's embarrassing. Sketches.
Oh, wow.
This is from over about 10 years ago. Maybe the less. Oh, I like this one. There's an example of my obsession with Dragon Ball. I was working on that Dragon Ball zine at this time.
Is that a character? A Dragon Ball character?
This is Mickey Mouse Goku.
Oh, look at that. That coloring is great.
And this is a woman in a glass cube in blood.
Oh man, is it her own blood?
Yeah, it is. Oh, this has a story behind it. This woman, I lived in upper floor of I lived in amongst rats in an upper floor of a restaurant, and it was infested. I can't believe I didn't get a disease living in that place. And there was a not a Ralph's in Seattle. It's called something different. Oh man. Well, the equivalent of Ralph's or Vaughn's in Seattle, whatever that was. There was a lady outside that was she was just bawling, crying about someone in her family dying, and she was inconsolable. She was walking around like almost in a daze, just crying and like shouting and yelling at people. And people tried to like console her and try to help her out, but she was just like she lost it. I don't know what was going on. She wasn't speaking English either. She was just crying.
Damn, you caught her emotions. Good.
It was sad to see. And this is me fooling around with some sketches. Looks like a druid and a character I was working on at the time that didn't really pan out as a comic. It was too big. Drawings of my ex. I'm not going to show.
What part of Seattle did you live in?
I lived in Fremont area and the college area.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what that is?
Kind of.
Well, I think you got a taste of what I have in this book.
Man,
We'll move on
more.
to the more. Maybe I'll do it next time. We'll go through it in the future. Go through some of my
What
sketchbooks. Here's
that guy.
Mall Cop.
Let me see
Mall
that
Cop
guy.
area.
Wow, look at him. Oh, he's on the.
Segway.
Look at those are great character. I mean, that's a caricature. You know. I mean, but that's cool. In black. Oh, there he is. He's got a little pea shooter.
Yeah.
And you got a ransom note on there.